This is part 2 of the essential nature of the offense. As I was saying, there is a maxim of law that says, he who seeks equity must come with clean hands. In other words, if you dirty your hands or you violate a criminal code in your quest for justice, there's a good chance you're not going to get justice, and there's also a chance that you could be the one that ends up in jail or getting sued. And one thing that I see with families, people that are victims of the family courts, victims of vehicle theft under color of law through the traffic courts, and, just general victims, witnesses, and informants of crime who are trying to get due process and equal protection and reasonable protection, is their emotions get the better of them. And what ends up happening is they dirty their hands and they become a target for these corrupt officials. It's not uncommon that First Amendment auditors, victims, witnesses, or informants will be trying to get due process or exercise a protected right, and they lose their composure. They yell, they argue, they do everything they should not do during the course of these proceedings. And then what ends up happening is corrupt cops, corrupt judges, corrupt attorneys, or even other private individuals who know how to use the law to commit a crime against someone else. They will use that, and they will retaliate against that person because that person gave them everything they needed to go after them. The first rule of war is that you do not warn your enemy. You do not give him a target. You do not correct his mistakes, and you let him make his mistakes, and you use them against him. And you never let him make the same mistake twice before you take action. Okay? So that means that, when you're confronted with a corrupt official, or anyone for that matter, who is doing something that they should not do, or failing to do something that they should do, you just smile at them and you thank them, because they just gave you a bullet with their name on it. They just gave you everything you need to go after them in court, whether it be through criminal proceedings or civil proceedings. There is never a reason to argue with anyone. There is never a reason to raise your voice, and there is never a reason to lose your composure. Remember, we are hunting, we are baiting them to give you everything you need to go after them. And when they do that, they have done you a favor. So you should smile at them and thank them, because that's what you baited them to do, and they did it. And now you have evidence. Now, never mess with the guy with the camera. Okay, your camera and your witnesses are your best defense, and they are the best means of collecting evidence. Okay? Sometimes you'll see auditors or just people going to the courts, for hearings or whatever. They'll walk up to the courthouse. There will be 2 cops standing at the front door with a metal detector, and a little sign next to them says, "No recording devices past this point." Now, the Supreme Court has upheld that under the First Amendment, you have the right to record public officials performing their duties, as long as you don't interfere with them, and they can perform their duties, as they need to, as well as your right to record yourself in conversations that you participate in, as well as your right to record your own proceedings in court. Now, those cops at the front door are going to tell you, well, you see the little sign, it says you can't bring your video cameras in this building. Now, remember, we're hunting and we're baiting them, and you know what your rights are. So now what you do is you give them, in writing on a piece of paper, notice of your right to record, with a notice that you are investigating a crime and that you are collecting evidence as a victim, witness, and informant. And then you ask them, if I don't stop recording, what are you going to do to me? And if they say they're going to do anything, they have violated 18 U.S. Code Section 1512, threatening, intimidating, or coercing a victim, witness, or informant, under color of law, which is 18 U.S.C. Section 242. Okay? Now that you have video that they have done this, you can offer them an opportunity to retract. Okay? It just depends on how badly you want them. If you already know that that cop is a crooked cop, well, you got him. You got all the evidence you need. You tell him don't go anywhere. You're under arrest for violation of 18 U.S. Code Sections 242 and 1512. Okay? Now, if that is not really your goal, and your goal is just to get into that courthouse and do whatever it is you're going to do, then you can offer him an opportunity to retract. You can say, hey buddy, I just got you on video under color of law threatening and intimidating me. Okay? You've also shown me a sign on the wall that says that there's not to be any recording in this building, and I've given you notice of the Supreme Court's ruling. Now, are you saying that somebody hung this sign on this building, on this wall, in contempt of the Supreme Court? Well, obviously he just did. And you ask him, who made that ordinance? Okay, and he's going to say, well, that's the city council, or that's the police chief, or that's the sheriff, or that's whoever. And then you tell him, say, well, have you filed a criminal report for deprivations of rights, tampering with evidence before the fact, under color of law by abuses of offices and discretion? These people are in violation of the United States Supreme Court by doing so. The law is not to be defeated by local practice. That's right out of the Supreme Court's mouth. Okay? So when, this is like the most common tactic that these local corrupt officials will use is, and they can do this at the municipal, the county, the state level, where they make a statute, a rule, ordinance, or policy that subverts the rule of law, the true laws. That is, the rule of law is the rulings from the United States Supreme Court and the United States Federal Code and the Constitution. Those are the supreme laws. And you can just give him that notice and say, hey, buddy, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution. That means you're well aware of the Supremacy Clause, and you know that the rulings of the Supreme Court, the Federal Code, and the Constitution are supreme. And they take precedent and priority over your local rules, ordinances, policies, statutes, whatever you're using to undermine a protected right. Now, victims, witnesses, and informants of crime have a protected right to investigate and collect evidence in their own matters, in their own crimes against them. Okay? This is why you have the right to hire a private investigator, because that is a protected right